Now, notice that the disciples couldn't get the job done. But why? Because they did not have enough faith to get the job done. Notice that Jesus said to them, "You faithless people." He was referring to his disciples because there's an asterisk and it specifically says he said that to his disciples. Well, how is it that they were faithless? They were walking with Jesus. They were walking with Jesus. But notice that further on, Jesus, when they asked Jesus, why couldn't we cast out that evil spirit? And Jesus answered, this kind can be cast out only by prayer. And then it has an asterisk, and on the bottom it says prayer and fasting. That means that they were not fasting, so they were not spiritually strong, because when a person fasts and prays, they become spiritually stronger. Although Jesus was constantly praying and fasting, notice that there's a story when Jesus was going to be tempted for 40 days, and then he was tempted by Satan. What did Jesus do? He fasted for 40 days. Why? Because he knew that he was going to face temptations by the devil himself. So when you're going to pray for someone that you know that there's demons and there's witchcraft or sorceries or anything like that involved, you're gonna have to fast and pray. You're gonna have to go full power on it. You're gonna have to fast and pray, because like the disciples, they couldn't rebuke the demon out of the little boy. Notice that even the father said, help me overcome my unbelief. The father himself was unbelieving. Therefore, he was keeping that child bound to what he was going through. There was a lot of unbelief. That's why Jesus said, this kind can be cast out only by prayer. He wasn't talking about the specific demon. He was talking about this kind of unbelief. Now you may say, well, if Jesus was fasting, why weren't the disciples fasting also? Because in Luke chapter 5, verse 33 to 35, it reads like this. One day, some people said to Jesus, John the Baptist's disciples fast and pray regularly, and so do the disciples of the Pharisees. Why are your disciples always eating and drinking? And Jesus responded, do wedding guests fast while celebrating with the groom? Of course not. But someday the groom will be taken away from them, and then they will fast. Who is he referring? Who is the groom? Jesus is the groom. The church is the bride. And the disciples were not fasting because they were feasting, because they were celebrating. They were with Jesus, of course. But Jesus knew that from time to time he needed to fast, because there was going to be certain temptations that he